Evo here, and today, everyone, I wanted to talk about where you guys should get started if you're a beginner in collecting comic books and just graphic novels and all of this. Now, it can be a very, very daunting task when you first start collecting. You go to a comic store and there's all these issues. And if you actually flip open any random comic book, it most likely will not make sense at all. And it's because it follows different story arcs, and there are different storylines that actually happen before that book, or just like it's book number 3 in the series. And it's not as simple as just saying, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. You buy 1, 2, 3, 4. No, there are many different versions of each character. There are many different series. There are many different writers. There are many different artists. There are many different inkers. There's everything. And this can make this such a daunting task, especially with a lot of the new movies coming out for Marvel, DC. A lot of people are like, I want to start reading where this stuff comes from, and they go to a comic store and they don't know what they're doing. Now, I'm here to guide you guys a little bit in what I would advise for you guys to do. You don't have to take my advice. Once again, it's just advice. It's there. You could take it or leave it. It's your choice. But if you want to go about this in the most cost-effective way and the most, bang for your buck, really, here's what I would suggest. Just a couple of things. So, first of all, I'm going to tell you guys right now there's three to four different types of books you'll see. So one is your standard comic book. It should look something like this. Not very special. You see them quite a bit everywhere. Next up, you have your graphic novels. Now, they should look something like this. Or even... Now, these are your standard graphic novels right here. They're going to be like your, 12, 13, 14... 16, maybe sometimes even $20 books. But I'll explain a little later why they are more. You'll also have your hardcover graphic novels right here, which are, of course, hard-covered. And then you've got stuff like an omnibus, which is right here. Now, this thing is huge. And I'll explain why a lot of this is different, why it's important to know what you are purchasing, and why it might be a good idea to go for some stuff that costs a little more in the long run, but honestly will save you money in total. So let's get right into it. So first up, a comic book, right? So a comic book is pretty standard. They come like this. Sometimes they'll come bagged and boarded already. I personally have to purchase my bags and boards, which is another cost into this. And I'll explain all of that. Now, you'll start with a comic book that's just usually out. It's not bagged or boarded. And this ranges from about 30 to 40 pages usually. They're not too long. And you can probably get through it within 15 minutes at most. It is not very hard to read one of these. They take very little time. And their cost is going to be about... I can actually tell you what this one costs. This one cost me $4. A lot of them are 6 and above. There are some that are $5. I would say on average it's about $5 per book. Plus my store charges about 50 cents or 25 cents, sorry, to bag and board. So it's really like $5.25. Now, this being said, this book is cheaper than your average book at $4.99. Or $3.99. There are a lot of books that are $4.99. I would say majority. But if you see a cover art that is, a virgin cover or something like a foil variant or, a full cover art, there is a ton of different things here that can up the price by $50, $60, even $150 I've seen. So it really is depending on what you want out of comic book collecting. If your goal is to just read the stories, I actually wouldn't suggest this method of collecting. If you're in it more for the collecting aspect and the having all of the books in a series, this is probably the way to go. It's not very cost effective though, I'm going to tell you that. It's going to range you a lot of money. Now, I keep up with the latest books every week, and just for those books, it costs me around $100 a week. which is a ton of money spent on, 10 about 15 books. So it's not very cost effective, and that's just new stuff. If I was purchasing a lot of the older comics right now, it would probably be well into the $300-400 a week, which is insane. Now that being said, what I tend to do for collecting my comic books is I will buy all of the new stuff that I need, and then get through my week and put aside whatever leftover money I have into a special savings, a piggy bank, a jar, whatever you guys want, a bank account. And whatever money is left over, I save it, and then I'll buy an older series. And that way I have a complete series of an older one. And, it probably costs me a ton of money, like a couple $100. Like, I know Uncanny X-Men right now, for a full run of that, it's a couple $1,000s. But there's stuff, like All-Star Batman that goes for like $84 right now. Stuff like that. And, you'll be able to collect the full runs in a cost-effective way. And that's probably the best way to go about comic collecting, is find a few characters that you actually really want to collect, and then start with them. I always say this, if, you go to a comic store and you see, oh, issue number 1 of Spider-Man versus the Green Goblin's out. If you're a fan of Spider-Man, pick it up. If not, leave it, because it's going to go very out of hand very quickly. And soon enough, 5 of these books will release the second one on the same day, and then you're paying, $70-80 alone for series that you've already had. That's not even including any new series you see. I personally, a lot of my money is tip money from my job, so a lot of the tip money is what I use for my comic collecting, and so that is definitely very helpful. I'm very, very good at keeping to a budget and staying in my budgeting for stuff, so that allows me to buy stuff like comics and movies and all of this, because I stick to a very, very strict budget. Now, another thing is one tip: if you're getting into comic book collecting, stick to a couple of characters you're gonna like. Now, if you're completely new to the genre, that's okay. If you've seen one Superman movie, one Batman movie, one, Iron Man, maybe stick to those characters because you know them and you already have an interest in their story, like Batman, for instance. I personally think Batman's really freaking cool. And I might like the New 52 stuff. I go to the New 52 and, I start collecting that. Or I might go to the DC Rebirth Batman series. I might go to All-Star Batman, Batman Beyond. You want to start, though, with the main Batman. And I can't stress this enough. If you see Batman Beyond, you do not want to start there because it is changing up Batman in a very big way. You want to start with Batman. Now, if you ask your local comic book store worker, they should be able to help you, guide you in a way that would be good as well. But let's say you don't want to do that. Just go to a Batman and make sure it's issue number 1. I cannot stress this enough. Do not start on issue 15. It's going to make you absolutely hate comics. I did it originally, and I was not into comics, and I did not like them. And then I started with an issue number 1 of Deadpool, like 2016 series, and I ended up loving it. So it's really, really important you start with issue number 1 of a series, unless you really don't care and you just want to pick one up and see what it's like. Then that's different. Now, next up is graphic novels, which is going to be probably your most cost-effective way. Now, graphic novels sometimes are a collection of comic books. Some graphic novels are not. Some graphic novels are just, a bunch of just random comics put together to form something, such as this right here, this Green Arrow 80th Anniversary. Now, this is a bunch of short stories of, like, some of his most iconic villains and stuff. But they are a somewhat group of comic books, but mainly it's just like, oh, here's where, the Dark Archer comes in. Here's where, you have Deathstroke for the first time. Here's where he uses the bow for the first, like, stuff like that. And it's really cool because you do get to see a lot of, like, firsts, and it's the 80th anniversary, of course. It's awesome. But let's say you're looking more for, like, a completed series of comic books, but you don't want to spend, $400 on it or $100. these big graphic novels right here are complete series. A lot of them are complete series. The only thing you gotta double check is look on the spine here. And if you don't see like anywhere on it, volume number 1 or issue number 1, you have a completed series in your hand. That means that it is a collection of stories that is complete. There is a definitive ending at the end of this. However, the ending may lead into another one, but it is pretty much a completed series right in your hand. If you want to get into Batman, I suggest you read The Black Mirror. I really enjoy this book. Time and time again, I pick it up and just start reading it. It's Scott Snyder. And really, really, you cannot go wrong with The Black Mirror. There is so much stuff jam-packed. You see some appearances from your favorites like Joker. And yeah, I'm not going to give too much of it away. So if you guys do want to go read it, I highly suggest it. Now, these are going to range about $15 to $20, $25 on the high end. And some of them even 30. It depends on the story you're trying to read, how long it is. It depends on a lot of things. Now, there are some very, very good things about graphic novels. You get a full series, so you're paying $15 for roughly, 30, 40 books, which is good. That is an amazing deal. And a lot of series, like I've been saying, go on forever. There are some series that still haven't ended. I know, like, Uncanny X-Men's at, like, 5,000. It is insane. And so the fact you're getting a completed story for $15, I know for a fact a couple of the Batmans go on very, very long, and a lot of it is summed up in Black Mirror. There's quite a big storyline that is summed up, and so that is huge. And this book cost me, I can actually tell you guys, $16.99. So this was $17 roughly, and it cost $17. I got a completed set of roughly what I would consider to be about 30 books. So 30 books, when you put that $5 a book, I mean, you're looking at a very hefty sum of money. Like here, if I pull up a calculator right now, and I put 30 times 5, you get $150. Now, I just got that same exact amount of books for $17. This is definitely the way to go if you are on a budget. Maybe you only have $30 to spend on books, every week, every 2 weeks, whatever. You buy one of these, it takes a lot longer to get through as well, and you're spending a lot less money. It is honestly the smartest way to go about learning about these characters. If you're purely in it for the learning of the characters and the love of the stories, it's this. If you're in it for more of the cover arts and stuff, it's going to be probably your best bet to go with this. And yeah. Now, one thing I do want to point out is, like, if I hold up right here, The Death of Superman, which is a very popular graphic novel to read. I have the hardcover here. This cost me $12. Now, this is a used book. I do want to say that, but it is in very good condition. So even the used stuff, you can find used stuff in great condition. This was $12 for a lot of content. Like, this is a solid, 10, 15 books easy in this alone. Plus, on the back here, I forgot to tell you guys, is some of these come with movies as well. Now, these will be, like, animated. They're not going to be the live action, usually, which is really good. Now, I want to show you guys the last form of collecting, which this is for people who can spend a lot at once, but they'll also take a lot longer to read through something. And that is omnibus collecting. Now, omnibuses are these huge, huge collection of stories. And they are roughly like 6 graphic novels, if not more. They're absolutely huge. And they have hundreds and hundreds of pages. I mean, this thing has a slipcover and everything. It's a Green Arrow omnibus. I love the Green Arrow. If you guys don't know, easily one of my favorite superheroes of all time. Or vigilantes, whatever you want to call them. Same with Superman, same with Batman. All 3 of those really, really hit home for me. And it's just because I grew up with them quite a bit. But omnibuses are huge collections. They're very, very heavy. And they are going to range you about $100. Now, this Green Arrow one in particular was $130, I believe. I don't really remember because it was so long ago. No, it was only $100. So this is $100 US. Um, and I have made it through this probably twice or three times at this point. I love it. It comes with multiple graphic novels, all arranging to one giant story. I also have in my room the Golden Age Omnibus, which is a great way to get through a lot of the older Action comic stuff. And the reason for that is if you actually want an Action comic book, it's gonna range you, especially first appearances, it's gonna range you easily into the $5,000-$6,000 range. Like first appearance of Robin right now goes for like 12 grand. So, and that's one comic book. That is a 15 to 30 page book. But if you buy the Action Comics Omnibus, the Golden Age Omnibus, as it is called, that's going to give you the first appearances of everybody. It's going to lay out how Batman starts. It's 9 volumes long, and it's $100 each volume. That's $900 versus $12,000 for one book, which is insane. Now, if you want my advice on collecting, what I do and the way that I do it, my method, is since I run a YouTube channel, I have to stay up to date with every single one of the latest series. And so what I do is I buy all of the comics for the new series and stuff, and I'll go back for graphic novels of the older stuff. That way it is a lot cheaper for the older stuff than the newer stuff. And I do set money aside for graphic novels, and I buy them usually in bulk. I'll buy like 6 at a time. Just so I can have a lot of reading material all at once and I don't have to just stop. And it is, in my opinion, the best way to go about collecting. Now, what I would suggest to all of you, because you don't have a comic YouTube channel that is running a ton of money, I would suggest that you guys honestly go ahead and figure out some characters you like. Maybe take a minute, think about it. Watch a couple of videos if you need to, Google searches, whatever you need to do. I suggest sticking with the basics. Don't go for like Black Panther right now. Stick to stuff like Batman, Superman, even the Flash, Green Lantern, Green Arrow. You got your Iron Man, your Captain Americas, your Daredevils, all of that. Stick to the basics. Do not go in and buy a book about Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. You want the characters that are the prime characters, because you're probably going to enjoy it a lot more than, buying a book about, My Little Pony or something. Buy a book on a character you think you'll like and then read through it. I suggest if there is a new series coming out with that character, ask your comic book store if he has a subscription service. Subscribe to that comic series. Just one of them. Don't go crazy. And he will basically pull aside all of the parts of that series. Make sure it is issue number 1 that they have started with. Because if it is not, they will not go back and find the series for you. Some stores will, most will not. So what I would suggest is have a new series that is just starting of a character you like. Let's say there's one of, I don't know, Captain America starting right now. Or let's go with Helverine. That's a new series that's coming out. If you like Wolverine, it's great. Highly suggest it. You could probably buy them on eBay right now pretty cheap. Basically, Helverine, they're on issue number 4 right now. But I subscribed from issue number 1. Now, that basically means every week I go in and he pulls aside stuff for me. Now, Helverine's monthly. So every single month I would go in and a Helverine book would be pulled aside for me. I would have the guaranteed copy, which is the best way to guarantee you're going to get all of a series if you're collecting books. Now, what I do is I go back to the older stuff to collect the graphic novels, like Death of Superman. I'm not going to buy all the comic books for it. I'm going to buy the graphic novel. The good part about these hardcovers is they stay very nice on a bookshelf. I can put this up like this on a bookshelf, and it will just stay in slotted very nicely. A comic book, you're going to need to buy a comic box, which they'll have at your comic book store. And it just slides in very nicely, and you have so many books that presses against each other and creates a very tight seal, which is very nice. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. If you guys want me to make a video about all of the best Batman series to read, all of the best, certain heroes, let me know. I will go ahead and make a video on it. My top graphic novel picks, my top series of comic books, stuff like that. I could totally do videos like that. And yeah, I just kind of want to have this out there because there are a lot of people getting into comics, especially right now with, Secret Wars being announced for Marvel. And then you got James Gunn going over to DC. There are a lot of people starting to get into comics. And yeah, I just wanted to throw this out there for a little bit of help for you guys. And yeah, thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace out and have a great rest of everyone's day. Bye, guys.